A very, very good evening to you all once again, viewers. I trust that your weekend has been fantastic. I trust that the Lord has been gracious and kind to you and your beautiful families. Well, welcome to Practical Talks with Floris Lyman, where we talk about things that affect us relationship wise, our health, education. This platform is to celebrate the hard work of everyone, achievements, businesses, encouragement with faith, supporting our children, supporting families. So I welcome you to this platform. I trust that your day has been great, right? Just to remind you, viewers, that this program takes place last two Sundays of every month at 7 p.m. London time GMT. And also just to let you know that I am on Facebook here, so please kindly do follow and share my page. I'm also on Instagram with the same name. Made it easier. Practical Talk with Floris Lyman. And I'm also on YouTube as we speak. This is live on YouTube, so you can kindly join us on YouTube if that's your preferred method of use. And also just to let you know, if you would like to come on the show, maybe you have something you want to share, something you're passionate about, and you want to be an inspiration to others, please do feel free to contact me on florislyman@gmail.com. Okay, just to let you know that I'm a human being. I'm a mother, I am an author, I am a speaker, I work in a secondary school as assistant head of learning. I'm also a daughter of the Most High Father. I'm a daughter in the kingdom. I'm a host, and I'm also a speaker. Again, just for the benefit of those who are joining us who are new, talking about being an author, that's my very first book. Don't judge me. I'm a single parent. If you would like to have a copy of this book, please see payment details. You can also send me an email or a WhatsApp if you've made a payment for your book, and I can actually send you a signed copy of the hardback, or you can get a Kindle version on Amazon, and that's perfectly fine. So we are starting in a few seconds. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. Please feel free to share this so that others can join us in this conversation, because the topic that we are talking about today, we actually started talking about it last week, and it has so many strings. It cuts right across, and we just felt that we did not finish. At least let's round it up a little bit today as we branch it into another major area that is affected by trauma. So we are starting in a few minutes. Thank you so much for staying tuned and staying hooked up with us. You are appreciated. Thank you. Many thanks. Thank you so much for joining us, viewers. Please feel free to share this show. So last week I had my guest, Lady Florence Henry, who is a beauty expert. She's a beauty consultant. She's a brand influencer. She's also passionate about health. And you know what? She told me about her age today. I was like, what? You look so good, pretty good. I thought she was the same age as myself, but it's so important that we look after ourselves, especially, last week. And thank you so much to everyone who sent me messages on my WhatsApp, those that left me voice notes about the show we had last week. I felt like I was in a coaching. I was going through a therapy session myself whilst we had that show on. It was just peaceful conversation. And I didn't realize the impact it had on people. So thank you so much for those of you who left your comments on my WhatsApp. Actually, it would be good if you leave your reviews on this page. I will really, really appreciate. We have about 600 people on here. It will be good if you leave your reviews here for me on this page. Thank you so much. So, Lady Florence is here today. Last week, we talked about trauma, childhood trauma, how that can affect us onto our old age if we don't look after that area, if we don't deal with the situation, if we do not bless you, man of God. Bless you, sir. Bless you. It's a privilege to have you on. If we do not deal with trauma, how it can affect us. And today we're looking at the aspect of relationship, because a lot of us, this one, there's nothing to hide. We have to be honest with ourselves as individuals. A lot of us have been dealing with trauma in relationships, in our marriages, and we're going to look at some of those factors today. So maybe as a husbands, as wife, as partners, if you're still about to get married, we need to start looking for the pointers. We need to start looking for things that you're ready to accept before you enter that relationship. You need to observe each other's character. If you need to start going for counseling, seek help, go for prayer, whatever it is, to stop us, to prevent us from being people who are contributing to the trauma of others, the trauma of one another. So we're going to be looking at some of those areas today, and hopefully the Lord will help us. Our aim is for many of us that have been suffering in silence. It's high time you deal with that situation, because failure to deal with it is going to have a lot of impact on you long term, and also even in the short term. So I'm bringing on my guest. Thank you so much, Lady Florence, for coming on here today. I really do appreciate you. Please say hi to our viewers.
Oh, hello. Hi. Hello. Good evening and welcome to the show. Pastor Flores, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your platform to talk about the topic of trauma in marriage and relationships. So, good evening again. And for those of you who don't know me, some may know me already. My name is Florence Henry. And by profession, I work in the education sector, in primary education, in the primary education sector, and I help to manage challenging behavior and also implement strategies that will help teachers to manage children within the classroom sector. I am also into beauty, so I've got 16 years of beauty background in skincare and makeup. I am also a beauty influencer for Zamor, and yeah, so I do quite a bit. As they say, jack of all trades. So, and I'm good at what I do. So yeah, we're going to be talking about trauma. So trauma, sorry. So what is trauma? Trauma. Last week, just to recap, I spoke about childhood trauma and if we don't deal with our challenges, our traumas, how it can impact us from we can take our trauma into adulthood, which happened to me. And it takes boldness to speak about. It just takes boldness for me to come out. I've had to be honest with myself. So you have to be honest with yourself to be able to deal with the situation. And number one is being aware that there's a problem and then working through those challenges, and it's a process. So it's the same with marriage and relationships. It's the same that if you do not deal with a wound from a past relationship, it's definitely going to transpire into the next relationship that you're going to. And in fact, it's going to be even worse, because you're going to be seeing that partner that you're with as this person that you've been with. You're going to be using, they say, you kind of judge that other person by the characteristics or the experiences that you went through with the other person. You bring that into your other relationship. And so some of the factors that can cause trauma in a relationship are, it's not uncommon to any of us. These some of these challenges are when somebody cheats. So when you cheat on your spouse or your partner, therefore the trust is gone already, and that can be quite traumatizing, especially if you're not expecting. Like sometimes we put our partners on people put their partners on a pedestal, and when you do that, and when they let you down, and when they do something like cheating, it's just kind of crushes you. It kind of brings you down to, it can make you lose your self-esteem. It can make you lose self-confidence. It can, in fact, some people will just disqualify relationships altogether. They will say, oh, I'm never ever going to get married again, or I'm not going to be in a relationship with anybody again because somebody cheated on them. It's like a violation of somebody's trust. You trusted somebody and then the person lets you down. It's like you have to work on that, rebuilding that trust. And it takes a long time to rebuild that trust again, because you're always going to be looking at that person. Even if it's not the same, the person is a new relationship that you've gone into. You're going to be taking those same characteristics into the relationship, the new one. And so you're going to be sabotaging yourself, one. And number two, you're not going to be giving the person that you're with an opportunity to prove themselves to you, because everybody's different. So we can't take one situation and measure it by another. But that's what we do, because that's what human beings do.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. Yeah. This is just one factor that we are talking about. But this, it's good for us to talk about cheating, because a lot of relationship breakage and damage and stuff, cheating is one of the major factors. And maybe somebody sitting there and saying, well, it was my partner's fault that I cheated. They done this to me, they done that to me. But the fact of the matter is, it can be traumatic. It can be traumatic. So if any of us are finding ourselves cheating, which again, I know we have various caliber of people, of viewers on here. I come from a Christian background, so for us it's a no-go area. We are, it's not nice, because what's the golden rule? You do unto others as you would like the same to be done unto you. There should be other ways of mending when there's an issue in the relationship. Somebody may want to say, well, my partner never gave me the attention, never gave me the time, never gave me, we should be, I believe we should be responsible for our actions, not blaming, say it was because of this person that I went to cheat. No, then it means there's an issue with self-discipline and self-control and wantingness and covetousness. So it's a lot of things, but we'll come to that later. But the point you're making, cheating is one of the factors. Cheating is traumatic. Like you said, if somebody loves somebody and they trusted them so much, and to find out that they've cheated on them, that's going to deplete the person. The person is going to live with that for weeks, for days, for months and years to come. And if it's not dealt with, it can move on into something else. It's a whole lot. It beats down your low self-esteem, everything. It just cuts right across. So maybe this is a time for us to review. If any of our viewers, if you bump into this video and you're cheating, on your wife, your husband, that person you are about planning to get married to, well, you're not building a good foundation, because that's going to haunt you at some point. So maybe this is a time to reflect and make a U-turn, because that's not going to be the solution. If you're cheating now, you're going to be cheating again. You go into another relationship, like we're going to talk about that, not dealing with that situation. It's going to be chasing us in from one relationship onto the other. It's like from the frying pan to the fire. It just never stops. It becomes a vicious circle. So this is just one of the factors we've dealt with. Let it flow. Before we started, I also highlighted physical abuse in relationships, how traumatic that can be. That's another factor. What can you add to that?
I can add verbal. I can add emotional abuse. I think physical abuse is one because you can see the scars, but emotional abuse, I think it's got to be top of the list, because if somebody is doing things emotionally, it's affecting your psychology, it's affecting your emotions, it's affecting your mood. So I think that the emotional abuse is number one. I'm not saying that physical abuse is not bad or it's not wrong. It is, but emotional abuse is, and verbal, when somebody's using language that's putting you down, the name calling, making you feel like less than, you're not good enough. Those factors are one of the, and we can all relate to, even, I mean, myself, I can say that I went through emotional and physical abuse. So I can totally relate to both of them. However, I think for me, the emotional one it was more crippling because it's stuck in your head, and it just, and that inner critic, that negative inner critic will be keep talking to you and telling you all the negative things, like you deserve it. You now be, you now tend to question yourself, and you tend to, like, what I did is I said to myself, oh, I must have done something wrong. So you tend to sort of like be blaming yourself for the actions of your partner. But it's not until you realize that, and we're going back to childhood again. It's all back to the drawing board. That childhood is where all this comes from. What you saw your parents, what they went through, is what we take. We take that as our blueprint, and we carry that into our relationships.
So
If
you
you
mean
saw, yeah,
So you
sorry.
mean somebody will easily accept being beaten at home, or being kicked, or being sworn at constantly because, okay, well, my mother went through it, so I have to go through it as well. I can't even complain to anybody. It is what it is. Let me just endure. And that's what happens to a lot of relationships, and it's cruel.
Yeah.
You've had sometimes this cuts both across, but it is common with women, with us women complaining after the man has sworn at you. You look nasty, somebody else look nice than you are too fat. You, instead of supporting the person, and that person keeps hearing negativity from the very person that they are tied to, then the next thing, the person wants to have a sexual relationship with them because they feel like, yeah, I've paid your bride price, so I owe you anyway. I own you. So, you have to do what you have to do. And the person is still doing all of that and they feel battered.
Yes, acceptance, isn't it? What you're prepared to put up with, isn't it? And what you accept as being the norm, as they say. So if you think it's the norm, then you just carry that through, and just you'll be blaming yourself. So you have that self-blame mentality where you feel like you've done something to deserve either being physically abused, emotionally, or verbally abused. Whatever the abuse, no abuse should be tolerated. It's unacceptable. If you find yourself in a situation where you're going through abuse, I don't tell people to leave their relationships. However, I will say it's not healthy. And if your life is at risk, then yes, I will say leave.
Find a safe place
Yeah.
until there
Yes.
is an improvement, because I
Yes.
don't think anybody that has invested in their relationship in their right frame of mind will want to just abandon it,
Yeah, yeah.
and sometimes some people have tried. Some people have sought help, some people have sought counseling, and it doesn't seem to work. But maybe again, this is the time for us viewers. What are you able to put up with? We need to start reassessing, re-examining ourselves now, what you cannot handle for the next few years to come. Talk about it with your partner, with your husband, with your wife, with your partner. Say, look, I don't like the way you speak to me. I don't like the way you talk down on me in front of others. Have a fruitful discussion. Sometimes you have some partners who don't want to listen, and they continue. There is a way. If you have to call somebody that they respect, somebody that they listen to, or seek counseling, because you cannot be downloaded with negativity constantly. So while the emotional one is a big one. So if you are going through emotional trauma, brother, sister, friend, viewers, please seek help. It means you are tolerating something that one day is just going to blow out of proportion, and you will not be able to, and it's going to haunt you for years. It's going to affect your view, your self view, your self image, how you see yourself. It's like no matter what somebody sees about you that is good, you don't believe them. It's going to make you anyway. We're coming there. I think this takes me to the next question that we were talking about. We've spoken about trauma in the past, yeah?
Okay.
So now the trauma in the past can be trauma from childhood or trauma from other relationships. Boy, oh boy, I have seen some people suffer trauma from one relationship to the other. So, can past trauma in previous relationships affect the current? You mentioned something about that, as in, you see the person in your life at present. If you're not careful, you're judging them, comparing to the person in the past. You don't give them chance. It's all as a result of that baggage that's been drawn from the past, bringing into the present. So, can that really affect the current? I believe yes, if it's not dealt with. Past trauma, can it affect our current relationships?
Yeah, sure, of course. Past traumas can, because remember, trauma is not a thing that goes away. If you do not deal with the trauma, it gets stuck within the body. It gets stuck within your subconscious mind, and it will just keep playing, replaying like a record, or some people say like a story. And stories are just stories. That your past is your past. However, if you don't deal with the and that sometimes means sometimes if you're not married, if you're just in a relationship, that means just sometimes taking time out to take an inventory on yourself and to analyze yourself and ask yourself questions as well and deal with situations. But if not, you'll just go, because a lot of the times people get codependent as well. So you find that if you've been with especially someone who's caused you trauma, a lot of the times they're going to be telling you things like, oh, maybe nobody else is going to want you, as you said, they're going to be like calling you names, and then you feel like maybe you're not good enough. So you end up in a codependency spiral whereby you feel like you can't be alone. You just feel like you need to just be having somebody, and people can how can I put it, they can see right through that. And then that becomes another problem, because instead of people to embrace your vulnerability, and I'm not saying that people don't, a lot of people take it for weakness, and then again, that's another trauma. You bring that into your relationship, and it's just a cycle. It's a cycle.
And
Something
we
that's
have to break that cycle. We
yeah.
have to break that cycle. Again, it goes back to us as individuals making that decision not to bow down to pressure, especially for many of us. Again, I will go to us women, because when it comes to vulnerability, there are men who are vulnerable, but a lot of us women are two times, vulnerable. And especially when it comes to settling down, sometimes you hear some of us say, I can't cope, I have to be with a man, I need to have somebody. And because we don't give ourselves time to wait, we've come from one traumatic relationship, and we do not reassess. We don't we don't vet the person that we are meeting next. We now accept them again, and because sometimes they can see that we are really desperate, they play on that, and they now try to use it to manipulate you, that like no other person will want you. It's a lie, because they want to cage you. Sisters, please, let's love ourselves. Even the Father that created us, he loves us, but he's giving us authority. The Bible says he's giving us keys to allow and to disallow. Thank you. Thank you, Lady Rose. I'm seeing some comments here. Thank you, Lady Rose. You say everything to lower one's self-esteem. They can do. Thank you, Janet. Emotional abuse is deadly. It can cause your mental health to go over the roof. And some communities and families don't regard it because there is no physical scar. Ooh, there is no physical scar. That is why, like you said, that's the worst. That's the worst one of it all. Thank you, Lady Irene. Self-love. Self-love. We're talking about those things, and again, this is not only about I was thinking about us BAME communities, because we know how we saw our parents tolerate so much. I know we have to find that balance, because that does not mean that every little thing you coming out of your relationship. Obviously, as for us, those of us who practice as Christians, we know, God is against divorce. He does not want us to be. But sometimes I can feel for some people's shoe, because I'm not in somebody's shoe. So I'm not going to tell you to stay in there and die, and suffer. But what I will always say, seek help as much as you can. Do everything that you feel that you have done. If your life is really at risk physically, seek a safe haven. Because you're not going to blame God when you stand before him tomorrow to say, Father, but you said, it's because of you. That's why I was there. That's why I died there. No. So I am appealing to us, women and men, husbands, wives, fiancés, let's not be part of those who are traumatizing one another, because maybe you are causing trauma to your wife, or wife, you're causing trauma to your husband, knowingly or unknowingly. That's the thing, especially when it comes to words. Words are powerful. Oh, what's so powerful? The scripture really says that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. So those words that you're speaking in the life of your partner, your husband, are they words that are building up? Are they words that are uplifting? Are they encouraging words, even if the person is not perfect in some areas? Where is the support? It leads me to the other question. How can spouses and partners support each other, especially if you've noticed that your partner has gone through trauma before, and they have come, you've met them, you're now in a relationship, or you're now married? What kind of support can spouses or partners offer each other? Because again, it comes to awareness. Because if the person is not aware, so we're expecting, before you go into that relationship, we have to be open. Because if the person is not aware of your situation, if you are hiding, which we women and some men are good at, transparency is key. For us to be able to gain help, it's just like a solicitor fighting your case. You have to be open to the solicitor to say, okay, then the solicitor knows what angles to come at to fight your case. So if, for example, some partners will say, well, I didn't know that that's what you were going through. How do you want me to help you? Especially men will say that. We are not being, feminist here or anything. We're just saying it as it is. But in instances where somebody knows, what kind of support, what kind of ways can we support each other as partners and spouses?
Yeah, I can answer that one clearly. I think, as you said, number one is being transparent, because a lot of the times we tend to want to just hang on to relationships because maybe you're used to somebody, or you don't want to be on your own. So in order for you to do that, you have to kind of shrink yourself. You don't want to be open. But in order for you to have you have to definitely be transparent. So you have to talk about, just have times where you sit down and then you talk about what's on your mind. You talk about what you've gone through. Because if you've got you've got a genuine partner, then you should be able to sit down and talk about your past, relationships, and what you went through. And especially with trauma, you should, as I said, be open and communicate. That's where communication comes into play. Because if you're in a relationship where you have good communication, communication should be number one on your list anyway, then that will come up. You should be able to be open and transparent to, let your partner know what you've been through. And if you've got a supportive partner, they should be able to support you as much as they can. And if not, then you can seek help.
If the partner is struggling, because you have some relationships where the partner too has been traumatized, and both people have been traumatized.
Okay, so then you probably need to seek professional help from a qualified professional, or if you're in a church, seek counsel from your pastor or somebody who you feel that you can trust, that understands. It's not about just going to somebody to talk to about your problem. Somebody that understands trauma, is very key to you getting to the root, the core of the issue, and then you find ways of moving past that hurt. You find ways of moving past that hurt. Forgiveness is number one. Forgiveness does a lot. Yeah.
And patience.
Yeah, patience, forgiveness.
Because you have to deal with yourself. It's like looking after somebody that's sick. If you're not careful, you become sick as well, because you're carrying your own burden and you're carrying the burden of someone. So please, because like I said again, we have come from a different background. When it comes to the BAME community, we keep quiet about things, and we are sitting there, we are suffering, we are hiding, pretending like everything is okay. Help is available. Seek all manners of help, and alongside with trust. Obviously, if you're a person of faith, you pray. But even when we pray, the Bible clearly says after prayer, we need to take actions. So there are physical things that we need to do alongside the prayer. We don't just pray and we sit down. God, our Father can always do what He wants to do, divine, supernatural, but He has put people around. He's given wisdom to other men like us who are professionals in some areas. So we must seek help. Thank you. Seek help as soon as possible. The longer one stays in this kind of traumatic and abusive relationships, the more it becomes a norm. Please let it not become a norm in your life, in your marriage, in your family. We are appealing to you. This is going to save you. It's going to save your children, because what our children see is what they are going to copy. They are likely going to copy that in their own relationships as well. So we want to sow a good seed. Let's break this yoke. Let us break this barrier when it comes to dealing with relationships. Thank you, Lady Flo. Obviously, like we've said, if again we don't deal with what's happening in the present, you can carry this to the future. Not so. We can carry this into the future, and that's what we want to prevent. Because as we're speaking now, a lot of us out there, we're waiting for someone that you can enter into a relationship with. You're praying 24/7. And as we are praying, let's open our eyes, because they come like they are wolves in sheep's clothing, so the scripture says. And for us women, when we are desperate, especially if the age is going, we want to have this man. Hey, I can't even tell my pastor, because my pastor will spoil everything. I don't want to tell my dad. I don't want to tell my mom. They're going to question the guy too much, and the guy is not patient. He won't be helping. No. In fact, that's one of the tests they need to pass, the test of patience. Because when somebody is not patient, they're going to start using all manners of words against us. So it's very important for those of us waiting, trusting to enter into that relationship, start having these conversations about, okay, how do you manage if you are upset, so that you're not using some vulgar language, you're not abusive and stuff. Talk about it. Have you gone through trauma? If anything, seek counseling together. It's very important. We spend money on shoes and bags and all of those things, but we need to spend money for inner healing, inner wealth. Thank you, Lady J. Said children are watching. They learn the values of what they see we do and behave. Absolutely, it's true. So, Lady Flo, is it possible for us to prevent traumatic relationships? I think I've just started delving into that. Yeah. Is it possible? Can we prevent it? Some mistakes have been done already, but like we said, for those people who are already in it, how can you make things better to improve for the future? And those who are about to go in it, is it possible to prevent it?
What traumatic relationships?
Yep.
Well, what you need to do if you find yourself in that position is being able to be aware of your emotions. Yeah, being aware of your emotions, knowing your triggers, knowing your triggers, and so, there's a saying that goes, if you're being triggered emotionally, it means that there is a wound, there's
Hmm.
something that's stuck that needs to be dealt with. Sometimes someone will say, oh, that person upset me. It's not the person is just a messenger. It's something that you need to deal with. It's a wound that you need. And what I normally do, what I used to do when I'm triggered is I'll say, oh, thank you to that person. Instead of being annoyed, I'll say thank you. That means that I need to do work on myself.
Hmm.
But you can only get to that point if you've been through trauma. There's an issue there that needs to be dealt with. So learning to recognize your emotions, learning to regulate yourself. So taking a step back. If you feel like you're going to be angry or you're going to do something that later on you're going to regret, it's about taking a step back, regulating yourself, and then you can address the situation in a calmer, more contained mood. So yeah, it's about managing your emotions. You can even write down your emotions. Keep an emotional journal where you write down how you're feeling. Take a 10 minutes away to breathe. We need to. That's why it's very, very important to understand yourself, because whatever's happened to you is happened. Then it now becomes your responsibility to get yourself healed and whole and understand yourself. So yeah.
Wow. Um, thank you so much for sharing that. Obviously, you did say at some point you had a similar experience. So, how did you deal with your own? Um, how did you? What are some of the ways in which? Obviously, we are not saying that's a prescription. We have advised that people should seek counseling, seek help, whatever way you can to show love to yourself, to look after yourself, so that you can live for your children, you can live for your family. You have a plan, you have a purpose to fulfill. So whatever is traumatizing you is stopping you from being productive.
Yeah.
It is stopping you from achieving your full potential. Woo. This is not a preaching session, but whatever is stealing your joy as a result of somebody causing you that wound, it has to be dealt with. Maybe some of us, our wound is just shallow, but some of us, our wound is deep.
Mm.
It's very deep. And it's going to take a while for healing to take place. I'm encouraging everybody tonight or this afternoon in the morning, wherever you are, you bump into this chat. Please, let's watch our triggers. Let's learn. If you can read books on how to manage. Some of us we don't invest in books. We don't do anything. But so much help is available. We have to take that responsibility. Failure to deal with this in a relationship, it affects your intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
It affects, if a man is traumatized, they are not able to perform. Again, we're talking about this cheating. Nobody's blaming. People have their reasons for going out to cheat. In as much as cheating is not good, but it's because some people feel that that's a way of mending their trauma, and they're vulnerable. So if you go and somebody else is showing you care and love outside, you're just gonna fall for it. And by the time you think the thing has become sweeter than honey, you know. So it's watching, it's watching our triggers. I was just asking you, what are some of the ways in which you manage deals, because you've come such a long, 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 long way. And as I say, you're
Yes.
looking absolutely beautiful.
Thank
You're
you.
sharing and you're able to come out today to speak. Many are not able. And this is not by might, it's not by power. The Lord has graced you, the Lord has strengthened you. So I really, really do appreciate you coming out. I know we're working on the book, but yes, tell us, are some of the
Well,
ways you manage yours?
yeah. Oh, some of the ways that I help myself. First, it took me a long time because before you have to become aware that there's an issue first, and then you can start working on the process. What did I do? I went through therapy for many years. I went through obviously my church, because sometimes as well with the church it's good, but you need to also get professional, somebody that actually deals with trauma. So that I pray, I've got a good relationship with God, a good foundation. I pray, reading scriptures are very, very helpful to me. That helped me to get my mind conditioned into the way God will see the situation. Like, so, looking at the promises of God, what does God see? How does God see me? And so, yeah, I use that. I still, have my daily devotion with God. That's my foundation, it's my bedrock. And then I went through coaching as well. I went through a 6-week coaching program, which really helped me to look at, my limiting beliefs, and just look at what is it to be like. So first you've got the toxic, what I've been through, and then you've got what is it like to live, to be in a relationship that is wholesome. So I went through coaching to know that there is a difference, that it's not all dysfunctional, that you can, get back to living, to being in a nice, loving, caring, wholesome, nurturing relationship. And so, yeah, coaching, prayer, therapy. I've tried different things. I think for me, most of all, the coaching and the prayer and reading the Word of God has really helped me. And journaling my thoughts, journaling, writing down how I'm feeling, and I still journal up until today. I journal every day, and it really, really helps you to get your thoughts from your head onto paper and get it out the system. Because sometimes as well, we don't feel like we want to be talking to anybody. No, because people don't. Sometimes people really just don't get this thing. They don't understand, and unless you've been through it or you're empathetic or compassionate, you're not going to be able to understand it. So as they say, who knows it feels it. So sometimes just journaling, getting your thoughts out, talking to God, that has really helped me. And my family. My family have been really awesome. My sisters, they've been great. So yeah,
Wow.
that's
So having
definitely.
a good support network is
Definitely.
very, very important. Good support network. Please, even the scripture says, what betide you on the day that you are going through issue. Where is the grace of others that is available? I know sometimes we have kept things to ourselves because we feel that, oh, people will talk about it. People, let's get past those things. There will be someone who will not talk about it. We all need people. We need one another. We need support. We need all the other individual things, methods we are going to use to help us to become better people. And like you said before, self-image is so key. I believe that no matter what we have gone through, as much as we see ourselves, the way the Father who created us, the way He sees us, that goes a very long way. Know that you are unique. No matter the scars, yeah, you are unique. You are wonderfully and fearfully made. Even when you're fallen, I want you to know now. I want everybody to know because I've gone through my own stuff. My own trauma, I would say, was losing my husband. Again, talking about relationship. It was a traumatic thing to go through. It was. And I'm healing and I'm coming out 12 years on. You know, I know what I went through. I know how vulnerable, and I've written this in my book before. I know how vulnerable I felt with different people coming all over the place because they feel like, okay, we can, she's vulnerable. So I had to put a, a fence around me, a wall, physical wall, obviously a spiritual war through prayer, and made sure I was accountable to a few trusted people. But in all, believing in myself that, Lord, I will pick myself back up again, no matter what. So this is an encouragement for anybody that is going through one trauma, one kind of trauma or the other. You are able to come out. Don't let it kill you. Don't stay there, please, because you have so much. Your future is bright. The Father has not given up on you. Don't give up on the Father. Don't give up on yourself. You may have given up on people, but please seek help. The best is yet to come for you. Thank you, Master Duarte. He says that's very true. Unresolved trauma usually stay dormant until it is triggered. So please, if there is any trauma that we have not dealt with, please don't wait until something else triggers it. Then it comes up again.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes some simple things. It can take you to years back in your life. So this is really an awareness chat tonight for us all to re-examine the different kind of trauma that we have gone through, or you might, as we speak, I know for sure many of us are going through one form of trauma or the other. How long are you going to tolerate it? Nobody is saying just quit, abandon your whatever your relationship, but it is high time to review. And the Lord will help you. But the Bible clearly says He makes a way of escape for us. He said there is nothing, there is no temptation, there is nothing, no situation that is happening that is uncommon to man. Means it has happened before, it is still happening, and it will happen. But we have choice. He's giving us the power to make choice and to make the right choices. So, Lady Flo, thank you so much for spending time with us here. This session, last week's session, and this week's session, it's gone on just steadily, and I believe we are all it's sinking in. Thank you very, very much. What last thing we want to say to our viewers for now? Because I know we are coming back for something else.
Yeah, I would just like to just encourage everybody, anyone, if you feel like you're going through trauma or you have some past traumas or you feel like something's not right, get help. There's lots of help out there. Get yourself in a good network of people, speak to your pastor in your church, get a coach, get a therapist, but just get help. You're not alone. You're not alone. So get help and all the best. And you can overcome trauma just like I did.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lady Flo. And thank you so much, viewers. You are not alone. You are not alone. Oh, trust me, I've gone through trauma. I'm dealing with it. We've all gone through. Majority of us, even you talking about children, that's we talk about, childhood trauma. Let's look for the signs, please. Let's look for the triggers, and let's look for the various methods we can use to help one another. I just want to use this opportunity to pray. I'm a person of faith. I believe that the Lord heals according to Psalm 147, verse 3. The Bible says He heals and binds the brokenhearted. He heals every wound. I just want to pray that anyone that has been wounded, anyone that is badly traumatized, that you will find healing. You will find healing, not according to my word, but by the word of the Lord, you will find healing. Peace, perfect peace. You will enjoy peace. Your wasted years, whatever years the locusts and the cankerworm have eaten, you will enjoy it. You will regain it back. The Lord will empower you and enable you to do what you need to do the needful by His name. Amen. I pray for a very blessed week. Learn to say no. If somebody speaks to you in a downhill way, tell them, I would like you to speak to me this way, not the other way around. Let's look for ways that we can manage our emotions and also be mindful of other people's emotions. So thank you very much for joining me this evening. I really, really do appreciate Appreciate you all. Once again, this program runs last 2 Sundays of every month. Unless there is something that needs to be aired out, I will always come and do that immediately. But thank you so much. Please do remember to leave me a review on my Facebook page. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube page, please make sure you do that, you subscribe. If you've been blessed and encouraged by the programs that are coming out from here, please do subscribe, like, and share. If you've not had a copy of my book, my first book, I'm working on the second one now by the grace of God. Please make sure you get this. All the details are on there. It is also on Amazon.co.uk, Amazon US. You can get a copy, or you can send me an email, florislyman@gmail.com, or WhatsApp me. Then I will send you a signed copy. Well, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you all. Thank you for spending time with me tonight. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you. I appreciate you. God bless you. Have a blessed week. Thank you.